What's up, everyone? This is Evan back again with another video from Fifth Third Trading. Today, and after a lot of requests, we're going to look at all of the stocks we chose this week. Ta-da! As you can see, like Vanna White out here, we're going to talk about all of our winners, all of our losers, all the things that we have done this week. The goal is we're going to do this every week, Friday or Sunday, maybe even Saturday, depending on my schedule, and then at the end of the month, review every stock we talked about. The main reason is, if you're going to trust me to make these calls, I need to be transparent along the way and just to review what we've done. This way, you could also see stocks I called on Monday that still may be viable because they've gone up and had a pullback. And then two, if you don't have any confidence and you're always very nervous, we can go back and check everything and you can be like, okay, I can see what he saw. It worked out. I can have confidence in my charting. It's just going to be an all-around great vetting process. And what I like the most about this is that a lot of YouTubers and Discord chat guys who sell stuff, which again, my stuff's all free right now, they're all going to push their winners 100%. And you know this, they're going to be like, oh, I called NIO at $5 and now look at me now. But along the way, they also called a bunch of losers. I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And I called all of these. I'm going to hit some dingers, right? Even on accident, you're going to hit some winners when you call 50 stocks. Okay. Anyone can, reach their hand in a bag and pull out a winner sometimes, right? So I want to go through, see where we were wrong, see where we were right, what our biggest winners were. The thing is, this is going to develop into more of like a mathematical thing eventually. We're going to break down every stock. If we put equal values into it, what would your returns be? So on and so forth. That's in the process. This is a one-man show. It takes a little bit of time. So for you guys asking for things, which I totally appreciate and I will try and do for you, it's going to come with due time. So the Discord chat that's coming in a few months, do not get ahead of yourself. That's coming eventually. Live recordings of my show. I'll do that on 2 o'clock in the next few weeks. Let's get this figured out. Let's get the system down. All those things that are going to really help push us and push you to do better are coming. So with no further ado, let's check out these bad boys and we'll get into it. So I fully understand me being down here. You can't really see all the stocks in the screen. And again, that's just a trade-off we have to have. I could be in the way of the indicators or the top right, but that's really what the price action is. So again, if you do want to check all these, you certainly can. You can just go back and pause the video. I'm not going to do a ticker screen. I don't have time to make that right now. But I'm just going to go through each one of them, rapid fire, machine gun style, with quality, right? But let's get into this and let's see what we have. Let's turn on our schmindicators. The whole time, I'm not going to go back and forth. All right. So first was AEP, and again, we played this before. We played it over here, made money, and again, we called it. I said, hey, this thing's in channel again. You would have bought it in. You would have had a quick 3%. Now, I would not have sold it here, and I didn't. So we're now holding it around 2.8%, which may not sound like a lot, but again, if you're looking to buy in, and again, you really got to track history. That's really important. Every time it breaks above both EMA lines, that's where you're going to make your money at. Like it broke above both EMA lines for over 10% twice. So that's the play right now. If you want to buy in, you certainly can. It's not a high risk play, but until it breaks this 200 EMA line, your profits are going to be kind of squished. So let's give that some time. It's a good buy-in for sure. I would definitely look into it for the future as I change my, it has to be white. All right, there you go. So as time goes on, AEP is still a great play. It's just you're not going to get the best value. You're about 2% up. And if it hits the 200 and dies, you're going to lose money or at least try and break even. But again, once it breaks both EMA lines, you're going to skyrocket. And again, that was a win for us. AEYE was super ironic because I was filming that other video. If you remember the validation video, and even said, this is a good looking stock. And I bought in the EMA line here. I was like, it's going to be 50 pounds. And I'm up almost 35% on it. I'm still holding it. I sold it and I bought back in. So I guess technically I'm up 35. I have 2 trades. One's for like 25%. And then the other one's now up like 10. So AEY was a big win. And again, it's just a simple play of, all right, it tested the 50, it bounces off the 50. It's also, that's a support area. That's literally just convergence. Like that's all we talk about. So AEY is too late. Don't buy in now. But again, if it keeps uptrending, hopefully we're going to see, history. We'll see a pullback. and then hopefully over the next month it'll die and you can buy back in. Agro, we called yesterday. I don't really have an opinion yet. You have 3 lines, though, of strength, and it's just sitting here. Stochastic and RSI haven't changed. But Agro is still a good purchase. It's a good area. Again, I think if I'm being greedy, I want it to die into, like, the $5 area. But I also would love to see it do like a PSNL, which we'll get into, where it bounces off this channel and goes up. But Agro is still a good buy-in. AMGN is a conundrum. It really is. It got FDA approved last night. That's why I called it. I don't talk about fundamentals on my channel. I expect you to do that yourself because you're adults. And, I can't do everything. I got to teach you how to do this. So fundamentals are on you. And if you were to see it, I called it for that reason. It's in triangle and it broke news. And here it is. It went up 0.6% and now it's holding. So maybe it's just going to take some time to kind of catch on. I don't know. But I think the real strength here is it breaks and holds above 232 and then 233 and goes. We got a winner. But again, I called it yesterday. You'd be up maybe like 0.5%. Nothing's changed. It is an expensive stock. So again, if you don't want to buy in, that's fine. But again, if it holds above the 200 and this, it's going to be a great buy. And then the RSI and stochastic are worthless once it takes off to the races. So if you have the money, look into it. CAH, we called right on this drop. I said maybe the volume line's going to be a support, and it was. Now it went up 1%, and now it's back down. Technically, you can day trade this if you bought it in. You're just going to have to not hold it until you see something. There's no point in cutting it now. I mean, like, what's the point? You cut it, and then it bounces up. It looks like the play is going to be up to 200, like I mentioned. So it has to come down maybe another 2.5%. So if you're not bought in yet, you still have time for value. Just be careful because it is showing lower highs, but again, it does have higher lows, so that's a triangle play basically. It's not a perfect setup for that, so we're not going to get into that. And again, the best deal would be buying in at the 45 area, but until it really breaks the 200 negatively, that's like your signal that it's going to keep doing it. Let's just hold it until further notice, or you can buy in around the 200 EMA line. So CANF, we also called the other day. I said there's a divergence, and of course it's now showing some life. That's a reverse hammer. You don't want to see that. That just shows that like price action went up, died, and then came up a tiny bit. So like it's better than a red candle, but it's definitely not, well, it's not as good as a red hammer. A green reverse hammer to me is a little bit worse than that. But again, we have to get in a channel. I mean, so if it wants to, because you need to think about the context here. It went up to where we wanted it to go. So it's not technically uptrending. It's still technically downtrending, right? Until it really breaks these these lower highs. That's going to be your signal, right? And that's the thing you need to start working on, is really taking your time to understand price action. Is that once this taps up here, right, that's the end of the move. You have your 100% success rate from support to resistance. Now you want to see go from resistance to support, right? So like if you were to buy in over here, right, your move is right here, and see how it kind of tapped here and went up. All right, you would not have bought in here thinking it's going to keep going up. You wanted it to come down, tap, and go back up. Tap, go back up. Tap, it has not done yet, descending yet. But that's part of swing trading, is that we get in before people take notice. We put little seeds out there. We cast a wide net, 15, 20 stocks in our portfolio. When you get comfortable enough, you cast that wide net, and you're going to start getting some big winners. That's the whole goal. That's what I'm trying to teach you. So again, that's still technically downtrending. I guess you can consider this volume line as the support, but it's showing higher lows, so it may not reach there because, again, it didn't really tap it down here. So again, the channel is probably a better indication. So give it some time. But CANF is going to have a big move eventually. You just got to make sure you can catch it because these are wicks. These don't hold. If you have a 9-to-5 job, you may not catch the full move. Just be cognizant of that. But CANF is a good choice. When we talked about CAT, I mentioned that this was not the best time to buy in, but it definitely is a good value buying in. Now it's riding the 50, and it's been doing that for maybe like 43 days. So again, that's not sustainable. I mean, it's a good look. It's definitely a good value, but you can't tell me a stock can ride the 50 EMA line for like 90 days or 120 days. It's not possible. It's not sustainable. And that's a good thing because you can't make money off of that. There's no buying opportunities. There's no value. you need ups and downs. So the best opportunity will be the 200 EMA line, but that also coexists with this channel where it does in fact break it occasionally and tap down. And again, this is a little bit extreme. I don't think it's really going to do that far again. So if you were to buy in the 200 EMA line, you're talking you lost 2.45% of a possible move. So again, you would technically be down on the stock if you bought in, but again, this is much more of like a, hey, this is a great stock. Buy it when you can. Kind of thing, right? So it looks pretty good. CLNE, complete winner, absolute dub. And you can see back here, I was trading this over here. I was playing with it. I actually had bought in here, and I got this. I got lucky. It was like 15% play. So CLNE was always in my head. Like, man, that was a dub that day. That was tight. So then it took off. I missed this. I mean, I'm busy. I don't catch everything. I'm not magic. So I missed this move. But then I saw the triangle forming over here. And again, it's not really a great triangle, if we're going to be honest. Like, because you got, it's all about, like, this show is all about retrospect. So, like, it's way easier to call this while this is happening. After, you could have said that this was a triangle, which it technically was, right? But you wouldn't have known that this was where it's going to stop. So this was just a descending triangle into the support area. And you'd be like, fuh. But then you got the 50 EMA level, your play back then was the 50. And then it bounced, retested, and took off. So that's the problem with these triangle plays. You really don't know where the peaks and bottoms are until you have 2 or 3 good moves. So we saw that happen, and we called it like 50 EMA play and triangle. And of course, we bought in. And I guess you could have easily sold at 10%. That would have been tight. And then rebought in. But I held, and now we're up almost 15%. Good win. I usually set stop losses around this time, for sure, because you can see this peak right here has a wick, and that's a wick. And just a little side note, if you go to your studies, the volume profile is really good for this. And I don't keep it on while I'm doing my videos. That's distracting. The areas with high volume, so here, that one, this area, that's where you're going to see supports and resistances and bold candles. Where you see low volume, like here, that's where wicks are going to be. So like, and up here. So that's not an accident that like this area with low volume has wicks. You see this wick? You see that wick? You see that wick? You see how there's low volume? That's where wicks are going to be. You see over here? Wick, wicks, wick, 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 wick. That should be a wrapper, right? So these areas are where you're going to see a lot of wick action at. See how below the support line? Wick, wick. Bunch of wicks over here. That's a nice lesson for you if you ever use volume profile. High areas are supports and resistances. Low volume are where wicks are. So there's a reason that this isn't breaking above it. It needs to have a one bold candle and push the volume. So CLNE right now is not a good purchase. You missed it. LOL. So give it some time to come back down to earth. CRK is still a good value. It's, I've been playing this forever. Not really, but like 3 months of just watching it and kind of going back and forth, especially recently. And again, this is, for a beginner, this is kind of confusing looking. But like if we just put a line here, put a line probably right about here, that's a channel. It's a horizontal one. And it's showing higher lows until recently. Like it was higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Now again, you could consider this, whoa, one move, right? From here all the way over to here is one move. And then this is maybe one move. So I would consider all these to be the same bottom. So I wouldn't get too technical. But again, this wick is lower than these. And usually I wouldn't care about that, but this body is lower than these bodies. So that is a bit disconcerting. But again, it looks like it's rotting down this downtrend line and it's trying to find some life. And again, when you're doing these lines, there's a very high chance that this is now going to be the new downtrend, right? There's no real evidence you can go off of if there's only one peak and down. I mean, technically, you could go as far over here and say that that's going to be a downtrend, right? That's kind of the nuances you got to learn. Now, I'm going to stick with this line because this was a very obvious thing that it came down and tested it. And now it's broken that. So I think that's a really good sign. But again, this area, this white line where it's holding, has been your area of support. And so you buy in today, you could easily make 11%. I think CRK is a great choice. And again, there is a chance that you're going to have this blue line be the new support, and I drew that for a reason. Historically, it does get that low just because it hasn't in a while, but you should be happy about that. If it hits the blue line, you have 3 moves of over 47%. So yeah, you may, for the next few weeks, be like unsure about it, but if it hits this blue line, I would throw the bank at it. Not really. I don't put more than 20% in one stock, but let it, buy in today if you like it and let it go long. CRK is still a great value. CTLT, Kitlet. We called it over here. I said this is a downtrend. And again, that's all subjective, but again, this and that and this and that, these are all really close, so I didn't think that was an accident. And then again, we broke it and it retested. There's not always going to be a retest, but 95% of the time when a stock breaks a downtrend, there's either a retest of that line you drew, if you drew it correctly and you don't cheat, you have to make sure you do it correctly and wait for it to develop, or 2, a pullback. Every healthy rise up has a pullback. There's a reason over here, you see how there was no pullback? It was like maybe a tiny one, but you see how it then just died? Because that's not sustainable, right? You need to be realistic, right? But if you screwed over a little bit, like over here, you see this one? It rose up, okay, pullback. Like this was a good 8%, which a lot of stocks can bet 8% in one day. And then it pulled back, okay? And then it took off. And then it pulled back. So you guys need to learn and trust yourself that healthy run-ups have pullbacks. Now, there was an equally large chance that this stock also could have just came back down here. But that's how you play risk versus reward. And you guys need to learn how to have a little bit of trust in yourself and confidence. Every healthy run-up has retests of a breakout or pullbacks. And you need to have pullbacks because that's what shows you the stochastic and RSI actually show what they're supposed to show, right? The stochastic gets too high, it's going to pull back. You have to hope that the pullback is just small amounts of red, like folks are selling off. Because while folks are selling off, people are still going to be buying in, right? They see a good value. That's how folks get in on the second move. So another aside, note for you. I called it somewhere in here. I'll just say here. And now you would have been up about 10%, around 13 there. I would have definitely put like a 2 or 3% stop loss just because that's all I'd really need. And then, of course, you've gotten stopped out. But CTLT was a great play. DKS, we're still waiting for some developments. I mean, there's obviously, some channel play going on over here. That was beautiful, but we didn't get in on that. And exactly why it broke down so hard was that line. And so now we have hopefully a horizontal channel developing. Those are really nice, like this big consolidation. One could argue that this is going to be our downtrend. You could say this. I'm going to say that. So technically speaking, until we break above that line, we're not going to really have a uptrend. Now, again, this could easily develop into a downward triangle. Those aren't good, but they're not terrible because if it has a strong enough support and it overtakes that, that's how you get a reversal. So I figured it would reverse here. Technically, it did. If you bought in, you'd be up about 0.4%. But again, to think they would have bought in here and then held through this candle down here is, a misnomer. That's, again, we're in retrospect. But I think if it comes down again to $50 and some change, 50-50, yeah, buy in. It's a really good support area. But you also have some really good ones over here, 47.6, 44.42. All these little staircases up, these little baby channels that I use to go up, right? You can buy in there. It looks like, this isn't on accident that stopped here. You can see this lineup right here of these wicks over here, this area. I'll make it dotted so you can tell. Over here, you see how much of these things lined up, right? That's not an accident. This is technical analysis. It stopped here, it stopped here, it stopped here, it stopped here, stop, stop, stop. Resistance, support, massive breakthrough that also hesitated here. Stop, 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 stop. So you can see that this area was obviously a resistance, but I didn't call it because, again, we're just splitting hairs at that point. And I would have 15 lines in here. So that's exactly what's happening here. And again, if it comes down to 50.85, yeah, buy in or just hold. So I think it's a good stock for the future. EPRT was a really good play. We called it and tapped the line, and you would have been up about 7%. I would have sold it there for obvious reasons. That's a strong resistance. And again, you can easily track over this area and say like this was a uptrend right here, this whole area. You see this, how it rose up? Well, do you think that's an accident too? I don't know. I don't think so. So this is definitely an old channel. And again, I always like to do redraw as channel, and you can line up peaks. You see how the peaks really match up and how that bounced there? You see how these peaks line up? That's a really good indication that this was a very strong channel at that time. And again, it's a great lesson that no channel is going to live forever. There will be breakdowns, and you need to get used to having that be told to you, that it will happen. So, and again, you can use the same angle and see that's not really a good channel. That's not really a good channel. And so I think this channel is broken. For sure, this one is. Now, if it gets back into it and keeps moving, yeah, there are definitely channels that have dips like this. But for the meantime, EPRT, if it holds strength up here, that's a great sign that bulls are buying in and bears are just trying to sell it at that spot and shows some real strength, and it should break above it. If it does break above it, wait for the retest to make sure. But if it comes back down in 2014, yeah, buy that bad boy in. ETN, again, you can see this channel. I very easily could have just taken this and been like, oh, you see, that's a better support line right there, right? But at the same time, we're talking about value. You know, you want to be semantical and like miss this move because it wasn't an extra 2%. Like, shut up. So that's fine. As of right now, it's still a good buy. We had a divergence. That's why that was drawn. Just realized my indicators weren't on, but that's okay. Who cares? You'll be all right. You can turn them on. Actually, I'll do it for you. Yeah, no, it's okay. I like price action more. So you can see we bought in here, and currently if you did, you'd just be down a few percent. I'd hold. You know, you're down 0.3%. It's definitely coiling. And again, if it breaks 114, I would get rid of it. Or if you want to hold on to 113 and some change right here, 112, you know, all you're going to lose is 1.68%. That's fine. Okay, you'll take that. And then most likely you'd probably see some life possibly at 108, maybe, and for sure around the 105, 102 range. So if it doesn't live here at this, you know, triangle that's inside of a channel, which it does. I mean, this thing does that historically. I mean, there's a reason that these looks like that. See how it broke out above that? You could have said this was a support area like that. You see how this is very similar to up here, right? It had lower highs like that. It had lower highs, and then it broke above it. I mean, there's plenty of indication that this thing does make triangles inside of this channel. So don't freak out about nothing. Hold it until it breaks, you know, 112, or buy in. That's fine. EXEL. And again, you could say, well, why didn't you buy it at $18? Or no one knew where it was going to stop. I mean, I can't logically tell you why it stopped here. There's no historical data saying this would have been the line. I would have assumed it would have been closer to like 1750. So we missed it, and that's how life goes sometimes, you know. And looking at it, we said buy in around this line. I even said let it tap down the line, let it retest. So I would have probably bought in around here. You'd be down 1%. But again, it's showing life. You know, this was, you know, higher low and a higher low. So it's showing life. EXEL is coming back. Do I think it has like a lot of strength? No, I don't think it's going to be like blasting up anytime real soon, because again, watch the run ups here. You know, run up, pull back, run up, pull back, run up, pull back. So this thing is going to take some time. And I mean, in a month, let's say from here to 30 days over, and you should do these kinds of things to really track stuff, so you know. So in a month, it made 16%. So, like, is that a lot of money? Yeah. I mean, you put, you know, that's really good returns. It's about, you know, 0.5% a day. But at the same time, we're looking for one of these, hopefully. And again, that's not really sustainable, hence it crashing so hard. So EXEL is a good price. I think it's a good value. Strong support, buy in now. If it breaks the support, sell it. Easy as that. FR was a pretty easy read. And again, I'm hoping for you guys, it taps back at that 44.60 range that's up here. Hopefully it taps in this area, and then it dies. I mean, we don't want a breakout yet. The longer we can abuse the setting triangles, the better. But, you know, you bought over here. I mean, I would buy the support, you know, an easy 13% in 17 days. You know, that's really good. We bought it over here. I said bottom channel, go long, big fella. We were up about 5%. Now we're only up 4%, right? Is that an intimidatingly large red candle? Yeah, it's an engulfing bearish candle. But at the same time, every single healthy run-up is going to have pullbacks, okay? Let's get used to that. You see how it runs up over here and pulled back, and then went up and pulled back and ran up. It gapped up and pulled back, ran up, pulled back. You're going to have these things. You need to learn how to hold. We're swing trading. This whole channel from here up is 18%. Some folks go for a day trade of 18%. They got to do this extremely quickly. Let it live, dude. Let it breathe. Give it some time. You know what I mean? Like, it dropped maybe, what dropped today? Okay, it dropped 1.43%. But yesterday, it closed, and now you'd be down technically the gains you made yesterday, 0.72%. All right, it looks big. Relax. All right, and then again, if you haven't bought in yet, you can. But again, you're risking yourself to more open risk compared to just buying in if it crashes back down. If it does break above and we get a new channel, you buy in the retest. GERN, we've been burned before by GERN. We were burned over here. We said that's a little triangle, and it said fake, and it died. So again, that's part of the game. It happens. So we got a little burn. We said buy in the channel, and now you'd be up about 2%. At one point, up about 4%. So, you know, you could have sold. I don't know why you would. 4% is nothing to write home about. Now, I'm never against securing green, but I am against having such much more potential of 20% and thinking 4% is a win. On paper, it's green, but I would be unhappy knowing that it happened to me. But again, this line, I just lined up the first two, and now it's retesting it. But again, we got to be careful of semantics. You could easily say that that is what we're looking at. And if that's the case, we extend right. We still have a while of a gap to go until it's really out of this downtrend. But again, most technical peers, people are going to say use the first one. And then again, I could also attach it to these two, this peak right here. And you could also see it's holding above it. So, I mean, again, it's all about, subjective, opinion. I stick to the same thing every single time. That's kind of why I see a lot of success is consistency. And again, you could also do that on uptrends, like over here. You think that's an accident? No. And then it broke it, it tested it, and it came down, and then it downtrended, right? So again, you're gonna have some messiness. Sometimes these aren't always gonna line up. That's okay, right? As long as you get the idea of what you're looking for. You want to break above, retest, and then go up. So GERN is still a really good purchase. I think it's a great value. And again, worst case from where it's at, you're losing at most, like worst case, 10% if you really want to hold it and then it died. But again, I think this channel is really strong. And given that it has higher lows across the board, I'm assuming it's going to keep going up. GIS was a really, really good call. I called it here, and a lot of folks were like, yeah, ooh, and it went up about 1%, and you're like, yeah, we're killing it. And then it went, but again, that's an earnings play. I haven't mentioned it. I was like, it has earnings, and then it went down and it hit this channel and lived. And again, would some folks be terrified of this happening right here? Yeah, but again, it's 2%. Like it's okay. And again, the history shows it does that on earnings. It's like, hey, channel. So it happens. We said it's going to happen. And again, until it really breaks above this orange line, we're going to be in a downtrend with less capital to work with to gain off of it. And again, you could say that's the same exact shape. You can probably bring it in a little bit closer, really kind of connect these right here, and say that's probably also an equal line you're trying to break as it went around there. But this support's super strong. And I mean, you're only going to make 8% on this channel area, but it has pretty quick movements. I mean, 8% in 8 days, 1% a day increase with pullbacks involved. Yeah, it's pretty good. So would I buy in now? No, I think it's a little high. It's definitely testing this area, this volume node that's getting pulled up to. It has to break that really. And again, you're opening yourself up to maybe too much risk. It's 1.5%, but this is pretty low percentages to be made. So I'd wait for it to come back down the line and then play it from there. G-Sky. I love this stock. I mean, I called it over here in my old video. I was like, this is a really good area, but I'm afraid to buy it. Well, I missed out on 32%. Tis my life. Now, G-Sky is really good right now because, and again, we have to be as accurate as possible. Let me get rid of this just to confirm. Let's be as accurate as possible. So technically speaking, Okay, it's still technically downtrending. We have to break this line. Now again, I would be remiss to not do it by body as well. So if you connect bodies of candles, it's a little bit closer. But again, you're really splitting hairs. It really has to live here. If it does break above 445 and go to 46, and then it retest that, I would definitely go along at that point. But until I see it break it, I would not buy this if you haven't already bought in. Now, when I called it, you'd be up about 9%, which is about the goal I called out. So I'd definitely be inclined to put a stop loss on that just to secure some green. But again, we have to be wary that there are pullbacks and healthy run-ups. See that? Run up, first pullback, takes off. Run up, first pullback, takes off. Right? Run up, pullback. So you got to get used to that. So this is a gap up with some wicks. So, I mean, I think this is going to want to come down and fill those real quick, even though that's not technically how that works. I could see them trying to come down and, like, fill this area. So, G-Sky, great for the future. I wouldn't buy now until it gets pulled back. HLT, I mean, we'll zoom in. That's good. I said it's a channel. It's making a little flag. Go for it. And again, as soon as it hit down here, I said let it hit the channel. You'd be up about an easy 3%. Now, again, is that something to write home about? No, it's not fantastic. But again, this doesn't really have many pullbacks when it runs up. We'll see some consolidation over here probably. But you can still buy in, but you're also risking yourself 3%. And then all you're really going to gain is 5. So not a good risk versus reward. If you're holding it, hold it. If you're not, I wouldn't get in on it. HTHT, we've called this once or twice before. It's a beautiful channel. It has a chance. I called it. It has a chance of breaking down. Okay, but that's about it's part of risk versus reward. And I think over here though, you see this support area. You see how it broke down to the support and then took off. And this is a very strong. I mean, you extend left. You see that again? This is not an accident. That's an area of support. And over here, one could argue that this is the same thing and that this is the same thing. So that's why I said, yeah, you could probably buy in here and be safe. We called it over here. I don't know where exactly. I'll just, to be fair, probably over here. So you'd technically be up about 1%. If you bought into the channel, you'd be up about 4% right now with plenty of room to run. Yeah, you could still buy in. But again, you're risking yourself to about 5% of risk. Not a whole lot, but again, the money to be made easily 7, 10, 15%. So HT we called the other day. I think it was yesterday actually. Plenty of room to run. HZO, we called it last week. I called it, like, hey, Thursdays is a good call. Wednesday, and it was like, woo! And then now it's up a good 18%. I definitely would have had a stop loss in the 20 area, and I'd probably be validated out around this area. But again, this is great because this is a very strong resistance, and it broke it. Okay, this is a perfect setup for a ascending triangle, right? Big old move. Bam. Comes down. Bam. Comes down. Bam. I mean, like, could you ask for a better setup, right? What a gorgeous play. So if you have not bought in, it may be too late. Now, could do a riot, and let the record show. There's a reason this line ended here. I bought Riot at $3.40, and I mean, 268%. Where the haters at? So that's a very similar setup. Is that it builds up and then it may never come back down. But traditionally, I would wait for a pullback. And again, you want the pullback it's going to probably be around 35, 21, or more likely the $34, $33 range. Let it pull back, let it test it, and keep going. I think another great opportunity would be if it pulls back all the way down to the gold line when this gold line breaks above here, and then again, throw the bank at it. But HCO is too late to buy in, wait for a pullback. Jill was a good buy. We called it over here. We bought it over here. You would have made a quick 10%. And again, you'd have a stop loss, and you'd been like, because this is a pretty stark drop-off. But as I said, there's stark drop-offs after big green moves. Like over here, you made 20%. Yeah, it's going to dip down because it's a little hard. And that was an earnings play, so you should have seen that coming. But that's why we called it over here. I said, hey, earnings are done. It's leveling out. If you would have gotten in, you would have been made a good 18%, a good win. And again, I'd just wait for it to come back down in the channel. We're just waiting for one of these. And it's going to happen. It will happen eventually. It is important to note that on the come up, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got a bunch of these little pillars. And again, we got one. We got our 20% right here. So JILL, too late to buy in now. Let it come down a channel and buy back in. But this is a fantastic one to abuse for sure. KNL, we said the support area, it died. And so I guess technically, I would say buying the trend line. You buy the trend line, you would have been up 5%, and then you would have probably would have broken even on this one. Now again, we could be splitting hairs and say this was the support area now, blah, blah, blah. The trend line's now broken. Yeah, it technically is, but it never really was perfect in the first place. So we can come over here, and you could, yeah, it's still broken. And I mean, I guess you could just come over here and try and track it. But again, that's a stupid trend line. So trend line's broken from now. It's showing lower highs, but it also has higher lows technically, right, from here and then here. So it looks like it's making possibly a triangle, but it's definitely descending harder than it's ascending. I'd wait, let KNL break this support and hold and then go long. But on the other, of all my stocks so far, I don't really like it. I mean, I guess you could even say, what about this? Is this a fair one? Sure. But again, I don't think it's very fair or smart to do 1 tap, 2 tap, and then consider the 3rd tap a pattern. You want to have 3 or 4 taps before you consider a trend line. LL, almost like how I need AA. Actually, I don't really drink. I call it the support area. You'd be up a good 9.99. Sheesh. Right? So exactly what I thought I was going to do. It's wedging. This will not last forever, and I'll just let it come back down and buy the white line again or buy the gold line again. But LL did exactly what I wanted to. Good shib. LUV, we called it here. It went up. It's now down, and now it's back up. Yeah, you can definitely still buy LL. It did technically break the downtrend of what we're seeing. And again, to get a little bit more precise, go up here, and again, you don't want to do this, like, but it broke here, right? And again, that's too close. We'll just go off of where we see a lot of connections. That's probably a fair area. That's also fair, but I'm gonna go with these 2 candles right there, right? And so just to be sure we're precise here, yeah, it broke that. It's probably gonna come down and tap it, or it just technically did, and it'll take off. So I think LL is a good choice. You just use this support as a stop loss. MLCO did exactly what we wanted to do. This is a strong support area. You would have bought in. You would be up a good 5.79%. This is its first resistance area. You see all these stoppages in this area. All right, it may stop around 1901, but I think also it may have a pullback to then go up more. So if you're holding, hold it. If you haven't, you can wait to buy in for sure, and then let it pull back to this area, and then you can buy in. But MLCO did exactly what we wanted it to do. NEW, again, I don't love plays that are in downtrends, but again, it's such an easy staircase read. We said buy at the support area. You would have made an easy 16%. I mean, easy read. This was not supposed to be difficult. And again, we did call it over here. I did say, hey, you may live over here. And then this happened, this candle, and I was like, we'll cut that. But if you would have even held this, you would have, and I called it over here too. If you would have bought here, you would have been stop lossed out on 3 or 4%. You make 16 the next time, that's a great play. So it showed divergence here, and it had a big bump. Maybe it'll break above it, but until we see it break this downtrend, I wouldn't touch it until it hits the bottom gold area or support again. NIO, I don't like big caps, but when I see a triangle on a support line, daddy likes. Not only is it a support area, it has 2 of them. I mean, and again, that's the part of technical analysis. I saw this. You may never notice this if you're new, to connect peak to peak that also then becomes a new trend line, like PSNL we'll talk about, or is it this one? Okay, I saw 2 of them. I saw a support area. I went long. I bought in that day. I'm now up 18%. I have a 3% stop loss. If it drops any further, dope, I'll just get 15%. If it doesn't, dope, I'll ride NIO again. Too late to buy in, let it come back down. And TES. I hate this chart. What you can do is just tap over here, and then you can draw like that, it lets you do that. So looking at this channel up close, and again, what else could a dude want? I said buying at the support, and now it's up 9%. Sick. Did it stop here on purpose? Yes. This is a resistance area. You see across the board, a lot of action goes back and forth here. You know, here it stopped, here it stopped, there it gapped down, right? So I'd probably put a stop loss 3%, get your 6% if it doesn't live here. Super easy read, and then rebuy in. But again, you got to put this in context. This was a 100% move, and then it came down, another 100% move, and then this technically was still uptrending, but now that it's come all the way down, it went all the way up, came all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. So we'll see where this ends, right? It's still technically on the uptrend. This is not a bounce play from it descending, so it has plenty of room to run up. Too late to buy now, but again, watch listed for later. Oh, we called it O over here. We made some easy shmoney. We called it again, and then for the third time. Now, I'm not exactly loving this candle. Like, you know, but if you would have bought my wanted to, you would have technically been losing money. You know, it happens. But again, if you go historically, you know, it rides the bottom, you know. So I'm 5, right bottom. So it comes down here, and it taps down. So I wouldn't be too concerned. I'm assuming this may come down farther and then make a wick. If it does hold down here, I'm a little more concerned. All right. But again, this is your support area. There's a high chance that this is a support play. And again, you can connect your little lowy lows like that, you know, boop, boop. It tried. That's why there's a wick there. And now it's retesting possibly. So I wouldn't be all that concerned if you're holding. I would buy in around, you know, now to $60. And it'd be a 5 play. And again, there's a high chance that this is just a massive downtrend. And it's going to take forever for it to come all the way down to about the $57 area. But again, for now, I think O is still very viable. Old Peg did exactly what I thought I was going to do. You know, I said, hey, let it hit support area. There's a divergence. And then it pulled back. By the pullback, it went up 3%. I thought it could break this. It can't. You know, this is obviously a strong resistance. We've tracked these technicals correctly. And again, I could have been up here doing this. But again, that's also very possible. You see how it stopped right there? So, you know, it comes down to how precise you want to be. I just thought the body made a lot more sense in this wick because it wicks in this area. So, like, it stopped at these bodies twice for a reason. So, body to body, it's kind of how I read it. So, it might come back down. And if it does, great. You know, you're going to get a 2% discount. Let it come into the channel area and the support and just do it again. But I would wait for it to hit those channels. But again, we called it exactly what I thought I was going to do. PLNT, we saw divergence. Those are always a fantastic. I should do a whole video on that. We said buy in at the divergence. You'd be up right now about 3%. You can still run up. And again, I think it's a good buy-in. You buy in now. You cut it, you know, $73 and some change, and then you lose a few percent. Or you can just hold till 2% or $72 and let it run. But again, this is an ascending triangle formation. I mean, you can consider this area to be your triangle resistance. You know, there's no technical anomalies. It tapped here, it tapped here, it tapped here. It needs to tap here again. If this move doesn't make it, I'd be a little bit concerned. But again, it's not technically done uptrending until it hits the support area. So it may pull back all the way down. As long as it has a higher low, we're good. So let it run up to here. And eventually this will break out and make some big moves. So PLNT, you may not want to buy in now just for the value, but eventually I has a hunch it's really going to blast up. Until it breaks this uptrend, I'd be fine buying into it. PNW, you know, we saw a head and shoulders. You know, this is an obvious read for anyone who likes technicals. That's an obvious head and shoulders, right? Boom, boom, boom. And that's why it died, right? As soon as it broke these two lines, it went and it died on us. So that's why we called it. But this whole time we saw a downtrend, we saw divergences, and again you can connect these peaks, and you can see again how that happens. It's coming down, and now it broke that. It's leveling off. So this area is pretty good. It's a really strong support area. I'd still buy in. I mean, if you don't like the setup, it's still downtrending pretty harshly. Yeah, just wait. No big deal. But again, we called it over here. Technically, you would have been up 2%. Woo! And now you'd be up 0.24. Yeah, it's just, you're just holding it. You know, just hold it. If you want to buy in, sure. But it's okay. PSNL is my baby. I miss it. I miss it dearly. Come home to daddy. As you can see, I've just been playing it off this channel. It's very similar to UPLD. You know, I just was playing this channel. Luckily for me, UPLD technically has life for this channel. But I mean, boy, I bought it here and it was just a ride. And I needed to come home. So, what an uptrend. But that's one of my favorite plays are these. So PSNL, I drew this white line before, kind of as the peak, as like this is kind of where when it breaks here, it's like like it doesn't have any kind of life. But again, I called it for a reason. I was like, this was a really powerful move, and I was like, it dropped off steeply. So I was like, if you like retest plays, it hasn't lived before, but I have a hunch that's gonna live now. And by golly gee willikers, when it tapped, you'd be up about 13%. I got a friend on Discord who played this and is up 13%. Shout out to you, my boy. I'm glad it worked out for you. I am jealous. I wanted to dive back down in my channel because I miss free money. I don't mean like a little bit of money. I mean I would make 30%. This play the next day, 27%. This play up. Yeah, this thing was great. So I'll miss it, but I'll find more just like it. PTGX, what a day trade. I said buy in the channel. I woke up to 11% and I was like, geez, and I just sold it. I mean, I could have held, but again, with AIM or X and that, I was like, just take the money. That's just my move. I was like, nah, I want it. Which was great because it worked out for me. I could have been burned. I could have easily sold off too early and missed out on an extra 16%. I'm not one to complain. But again, a free 10%, and again, as I've talked about, if you take 10% gains 8 times while reinvesting the money, so $500 becomes $550, $550 becomes like $612, whatever it is, you double your money every 8 moves. So whenever I see a free 10%, I don't think, well, I can get more money. I think this happens 7 more times, I've just doubled my money. Like that to me is much more efficient and consistent. So I sold it because again, it gapped up, and again, gaps are gravitational, right? It gapped up, so I was like, this ain't gonna hold. And it came down, and wouldn't you know, right where it gapped at is where it stopped. So, on accident? I don't think so. Now, again, we could also track this downtrend and say, you gotta make sure it breaks the downtrend. Wait on that. But I buy in. I mean, I would have bought in yesterday, but I just called it, so I didn't want to call the same play twice. Not my cup of tea. I should have. But again, if you want to buy in, I definitely would. This has a good chance of running up again. PTGX was nice. That'd be sad. QTT, we called it, just saying, hey, buy in any of these times. If you would have bought exactly when I called it, you would have been up about 5%, and now you would be up about 1%. It's bouncing back and forth. And again, I showed the full picture of this one. It's not great. Okay. It has a history of coming down to this $4 area. And again, this is why it's so important for you to do due diligence on a large scale. And I mean, even if you day trade, you should do this. Like, it should be a 100% non-skippable step, is doing large scale research. Do you think it stopped here in accident? Like folks who bought in were like, to the moon. No, it stopped there because historically it stops here. Okay. And the same goes for why I use the 180-day chart to use my 5 to 10 day plays. Everyone who tells you will be like, yeah, dude, use the 5-day chart. Easy peasy lemon McSqueezy. No, it's not easy peasy. It's hard lemon hard sometimes, because it is such a such a zoomed in, like, I don't know what the fuck going on. I don't know, dude. Like, this is not how you do swings. This is not a good chart. But the 180-day chart, yeah, dude, you get a good picture, my boy. So like, I use this chart to hold for 3 to 5 days. Anyone who says otherwise is an idiot. So I would have bought in right here. If I saw it, it would have. I mean, if I would have seen this, it would have gone up an easy 13% in a day. This is a great trend line. I'm hoping it dies and taps there, and I buy in and have me a good old time. So I'd buy in any time between now and $2.02. No, that's what I would do. Unpopular. Next is Wrapped. And again, I called it over here on the dead thing. I didn't buy it. I had no idea when it was going to stop dying. But if you would have taken advantage of that, it'd be up 62%. Now, is that unrealistic to think about in the time? Yeah, no one knew it was going to stop dying. But I could have had a hunch that the volume line would have been strong. Hold on. All right, so again, would anyone have known when this was going to drop all the way down and bounce back up? No, you have no idea. Now, again, you could have assumed it'd be in this area, but it's a bold assumption to be like anywhere in the next 13%. But yeah, I thought this trend line was really, really strong. It's been holding. And again, let's zoom in. And again, you could easily be like, well, you could have bought in here, but it wouldn't have touched, but you would have made 20%. Okay, shut up, idiot. You never know. So this is definitely a triangle. And again, that's why I called it. This is definitely a triangle play. And again, it may tap down another few little percents here, another 0.5. But again, this is an easy read for it to just break above it. And if it does, whoosh, we're off to the races. So that's why I called it. I think it still has a lot of strength in it. And this thing does this historically. And you got to understand, you need to look at the history of plays. It does this often, right? We have higher lows. We have this strong line across the board here, right? And it goes, break above it, right? Over here, again, it broke down, but it broke down into the channel. So that's why I called wrapped. I think it's still a good purchase if you want to go look at it for the future. Oh my God. SKX was a great day trade. I mean, like, or a good quick trade. We called it over here, and then I was like, hey, let's buy Skechers again, my boys. And it went up to exactly where I thought it was going to go. I think it's going to go up to here and then die. So if you had it, you know, you had probably a good stop loss. And again, tapped in the channel, now it's showing life again. It could keep going. But again, I kept saying, you know, a second triangle, sell it when it gets close to the peak there. Then again, it's not accident that it got to these two peaks and it died. So exactly what I wanted to do was a good win. SPT, and again, this was a day trade with AMRX. I said there's divergence, and I bought in, and off to the races. Now, I'm actually still holding this one. I was going to sell it, but I saw no red, so I was like, who cares? And again, around here, I got nervous. I did. I was like, we haven't had a pullback yet. Let's let the pullback happen. Pulled back, and it kept going. So again, you got to build your nerves up. Don't sell too quickly. But again, don't be an idiot. Like if I would have seen, if there was a peak over here like this, if that was a peak, I would have sold. I would have been like, okay, you know, peak over here. But again, this was a channel that it broke and it retested that channel and kept going. Now again, I get lucky sometimes as a day trade, as a swing trader because I have a job. I didn't notice this happening. I didn't see this 4% drop off. I was just holding it, so it saved me a good 11% swing right there. So I'm still holding it. I'll probably cut it if it dies any farther, but 23%, that's tight. SWI, I didn't play. I said, hey, there's earnings tomorrow. See what happens when it gets killed. And a lot of folks were like, there was a data hack. And I was like, oh, God. So that was an L, and I didn't buy it. No one bought it. But, again, a bad call for me. I have those two. TJX, I said buy at the support area. If you would have bought the support area in the channel, you'd be up 3%. Okay, anything to write home about? No, but again, you're playing this channel all the way up. And again, that's an easy 7-8%. You're 3% there. You're about, you know, 40% the way to where you wanted to be. Let it keep rolling. If it dies on you, okay, you know, you lost a little bit of profit. But, you know, if you bought in, just keep holding. UMPQ, as I call it, Mpukwa. It's still in channel. If you would have bought here, you'd still technically be at a good value. You technically would have been down right now a whopping 0.6%. Lord willing, your bank account's not hurting too bad from that. But again, I think this may be a new channel it's developing. This is a really unstable, high, channel. And again, it looks like it's peaking out. Like this is definitely a wedge-like kind of formation. Now again, I can't really draw a perfect one, but again, that's definitely like, it's dying off a little bit. And again, these things don't last forever. This is unsettlingly high, and I think it may, if it doesn't live here, I would cut it for sure. But hopefully it comes back down to earth and it tests, the 1387 to 1350 area. It comes out and tests it, and then you can go long again. But for my call, it did exactly what I wanted to do. It just hasn't developed all the way there yet. But let's not get too hasty on ourselves. UNFI, I called it the other day, yesterday. I wish I would have seen it here. Lord, I wish. But, you know, scanning process takes time, and I missed some calls too. But I called yesterday, and you would be up about 1%. Toit, right? I think this is our first pullback for moving forward. And again, you have to learn to research historical data from every stock. They're not all going to be the same. If we look over here, you know what happened when it hit here? It went up and then it pulled back and it kept going, right? And again, you can easily get the shakes and be scared. It happens all the time, right? But it hits down here, it has big moves, and it pulls back and goes in. So is this the same kind of pullback? No, I don't think this is very similar, obviously. I think this is due for a big pullback. So if you haven't already bought it, I would wait for a big pullback. If you bought it, pray that it doesn't pull back because you may get burned if you did. So it may be the first pullback. Either way, if you buy it here, I still think if it drops and you get stop lossed out, you just rebuy it at a better price and you go long again. So I would wait just to see what it's going to do. But if once it hits this resistance area that it's obviously going to hit eventually, it's going to muddle around. That's going to be your entry point if you're waiting. VMC is my new example of why I draw the lines that I do. I took a screenshot. No, I'm not going to do this for every single stock. You're out of your mind. I don't have time for that. Again, this is a channel for, this technically could have been considered triangle. But again, I would have liked to see this get higher, right? Then make it a triangle. But this was over here, okay? And then it broke. And then see how it retested it? It went, ooh la la, oh wee wee, and then it died. So that's why sometimes breakout plays don't work. But again, the beauty of the stock was it went right back to channel. And then it went up, and then you had a new triangle over here. And then it broke above it, and now we have a new triangle. Now it's a horizontal descending one. So it's a different kind of setup here. You want to buy in, and I said buy in here. You'd be up 4%, possibly 5% earlier. And again, we're just going to hold. I wouldn't buy in now, but I would hold, waiting for it to break above it, or at least to hit 145 in this range. Again, what a gorgeous stock. No, it's not going to do this forever. It's going to eventually break, and my heart will break with it. But until then, it's a good setup. I'd wait for it to come back down. If you're buying it, just hold. WCN, it's not doing what I want it to do, but it's consolidating, and consolidations mean a big move. We're seeing higher lows across the board still. Okay, it's showing higher lows. And it looks like it's showing lower highs, though. So we're having a little baby consolidation triangle going on in channel. So, again, that's a good thing. It's holding this volume line. And, again, I didn't draw this afterwards. I drew this before I bought it. And it's just holding this area. And, again, you have a chance here that maybe the next 2 months is going to be where it's going to do this. Now, if that does happen, that's going to be pretty dope as well. Because, honestly, if it makes a channel that lasts 2 months and you can just do this, 5%, 3%. You can just abuse this as much as you want for 60 days. That's tight. But again, it's only 5%. So do you really want to micromanage that much percent? Not really. But again, the move was for it to kind of bounce in this channel. I think it's kind of dead because it didn't do what we wanted. Like over here, it would have had a lot more confidence because it tapped in it. But it's consolidating, so I would probably cut it. But again, watch after it. There's a good chance it may make a big move. W-Day did exactly what I wanted to do, like no cap. I was like, buy at the channel, you would have bought in, you'd be up a good 13% today. I'd be consider selling it as soon as possible because, again, there's not a real reason, there's no accidents and technicals at all as a purpose. You could have possibly sold here. I would have been happy. I mean, you would have made a quick 8%. That's pretty dope. But it just took off on us. It's going to come back down. My assumption is it's going to come down and probably muddle around here for a second and then come back down a channel. It's $220, so it's a lot of money. But you buy 2 shares of that, you would have made $40. So that's pretty cool. It's a good stock to buy. Watch after it. Last but not least, I really enjoy YEXT. We said buy at this bottom. You would have made a quick 8%. My assumption is a lot of folks would have sold that already. I definitely would have too. But again, to the naked eye, this looks like gibberish. But again, look at this. If we just track the data, then this is why you have to do your research like good boys. This is what we call a reverse head and shoulders. You see how when it broke above this price, right here. You see that? You see what it did? To the moon. And then where did they retest? That line. Is that an accident? No! So if you didn't buy this, I think you should, because wouldn't you know? It shows itself again. Is that on accident? No, this is not an accident. So I would buy in. If you have money, I would double down. Like, no cap. Because it's the exact same setup it was over here. I could probably go over here and see the same thing. Nah, it did the opposite. Well, meh. Kinda. I guess you could say this is much more like mucky. I wouldn't consider this a Head and Shoulders. This is just, yeah, see, that's not exactly the same thing, but I guess you can consider that one. But no, this is clearer than freaking day. You need to wait. I'd buy in. If it breaks the 16.56, it's in takeoff, and then you retest that. So buy EXT is a great buy. And there you have it. That's all of our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm kidding. I can count all these. That's about 40 plays, though. 40 plays, I would consider maybe 5 or 6 that have developed into losers. Good 25 are winners, and some are still areas to be bought. This was a long video, but again, you asked for it. I'll probably consolidate this and work on this kind of structure in the future. But again, that's all the stocks that I called. You have the read receipts. I'm not lying when I buy these, or I call them, and I call them the 3 or 4 that are big winners. I do on Twitter because I don't want to type out 40 different synopses. I don't know. I'm not good at English. That's why I teach history. But that's all the calls for the week. I'll be gone until Sunday because I need time off as well. Sunday, a watch list. I'm going out of town on Monday, so I may not be able to make a video on Monday. You will be okay. I'll make you a watch list. If I can't do that for one day, you'll be okay. I'm sorry. I have a life too. So that being said, have a good rest of your week and your weekend, and we'll see you guys on Sunday for more content. Have a good one.